Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
it's here. It's
Yes.
here. It's here. It's here. It's here. It's here. I've waited so long for this, man. My God, some glimpse of hope, some shiny glimmer, sparkle in my eye. I've been waiting for this
We are
moment.
back with some more post game reactions to the NBA. We discuss Heat games, Boston games. We give you post game reactions to these games. And today we had a good one. We also sprinkle in some other NBA action along the way. But today we were both watching the Miami Heat and Orlando Magic game. And to my surprise, the Miami Heat won.
I'm not gonna lie with you. I was hoping that we were gonna win regardless, of course. But part of me, deep down, I was like, man, this is the type of game that they would definitely fuck up. Like this is a game that they would definitely lose against. But also it was an important game because of the tiebreaker. Since the Magic won the last matchup against us for really close standings right now, so the Heat move up, I believe, to the sixth spot now. Actually, I'm sorry, the seventh spot. As the Magic
The Heat and
step
the Magic are
down.
tied for the seventh spot. And what we have here is what I believe is going to be a four-way. It's going to be pretty close with these bottom four teams when it comes to the playing tournament. We got it's going to be a toss up between Miami, Orlando, Chicago, and Atlanta, and that's how it's looking now. However, I as I'm speaking, I take that back because I'm looking at the standings and I see that Philly's at 5, and the only reason Philly's at 5 is because they had the reigning MVP, um, who
With
has
him
since
out
gone
now.
down. Yeah, who has since gone down. So I anticipate the 76ers dropping down. You know what? I would not be surprised if either Brooklyn or Toronto make a make a bit of a run here at the end and claim that last playing spot. But I think Philly's going to be out of it as well. So
And we also have to see what type of major changes these teams make actually this Thursday, since of the trade deadline coming up shortly. So yeah, some of these teams can even get better, scarier, or some of these teams can completely decide to rebuild, or maybe a soft rebuild, some shuffling of the cards. Like Brooklyn, I expect Brooklyn and Milwaukee. Those are my top two right now that I suspect to probably shake things up to get aggressive on the second half of the season. But
so what do you think about that game today between the Orlando Magic and the Miami Heat? That was pretty surprising. It was a kind of I thought it was going to be a blowout. Orlando made it interesting a little bit, and then Miami pulled away.
um, I think the most notable thing about today's game, which I was extremely happy about, was that defense. The defense was there today. It was widely known Orlando likes to get in the paint. Miami was going to drop a lot of zone today, try to keep them out of the paint. But surprisingly, Miami shot really well. They had their three attack offense that they were running with Caleb and at times Jaquez really attacking the basket, and Hero actually taking, surprisingly, not surprisingly, but notably, Hero taking a little bit of a backseat this game with the 14 that he had.
Is that what you call it, a backseat?
And I'm gonna call it a backseat because the team spacing and the team's flow on offense is a lot better when he's not trying to constantly be on ball so much. And I think that's what we witnessed today. And Jimmy playing like Jimmy freaking Butler out there, nearly a triple double today. And Bam actually looking to score. So when all those things are going well, and let me honorable mention Terry Rozier is getting way more comfortable 8 assists,
Honorable
17
mention.
points.
He literally kept he he's gonna be the reason the one of the main reasons why Miami Heat turns around this season and makes a run into that middle of the pack in the Eastern Conference because Terry Rozier has replaced Kyle Lowry, and th- you just can't say enough on how much of a difference Terry Rozier is making on the Miami Heat. I mean, he had 18, 7, and 6 today, and that doesn't even tell the whole story. He was locking up on defense. He's gonna be the difference maker because he's now. Go back to your point about Tyler Hero. You can't keep protecting this guy. I mean, he's not who he says he is most of the time. Most of it, he has his moments, but he's not who he said he is. T- Hero, if Jimmy Butler's not going to take those shots, Hero has to be the guy to take those shots. Miami's paying him to take those shots, and I mean, only putting up 13 shots. He has to put up more of a volume of shots. Okay, he's the star, one of the stars, and on a night that Bam's not really clicking offensively, you know, Caleb Martin wasn't clicking offensively tonight. Hero has to be the guy to take those shots, and I feel like Rozier is going to take that spot, and that's why I'm going to say it again. I think Hero's on his way out. If it's not by this deadline, definitely in the offseason because he has to step up and be that guy. And tonight was
Well,
another example. If he wasn't even looking for the ball sometimes,
and
and he went two
I
for
would
five and 6 for 13, so he wasn't having a bad shooting night.
I would say that he was playing, when I say backseat, playing a lot more efficiently is what I would say. Very careful with his shot selections. And I thought he had good shot selection the whole entire game actually this
Yeah,
game.
I think that he had a chance to the only reason why you're saying that is because the game was a blowout and Miami won pretty handily. If this game is close and Tyler Hero has that same type of game where he's not really aggressive on the offensive side, we're telling a different story today.
I agree with you. But I would say with the flow of how everything came out today, it was fine. He did his job. He played adequately. Um, but however, I do want to see how these things can sustain because that seems like that was the biggest problem of this team this whole season is sustaining this offense, this defense that they were playing today. Because right before those 7 games, they were playing really great, and everything went downhill. And it looks like now they're starting to kind of catch fire. Even from that Clippers game, I thought they played decent, but I mean, they just got torn apart by that insane offense in that Clippers game, especially with Kawhi kind of outshined Jimmy Butler in that game for sure. So this was a game for good. This was a good reset game because now they got a hard next couple games coming up. So with some elite teams,
The reason why I think Miami does well versus teams like the Magic is because the Magic don't really have any like knockdown shooters. And
they like to get in the paint. I agree with you.
sometimes Bankero gets going, he gets streaky. Wagner too, Carter can hit the open three. Fultz has never really been that much of a shooter. So looking at the stats, I mean, Bankero 1 for 4, Wagner 1 for 7, Suggs 1 for 6. They settled for these shots because of that zone that Miami gets into. And when Miami gets a team like Boston this season, we're not talking about last season, this season's version of Boston Celtics, when they get teams like that can shoot from the three, Miami is going to be in trouble because they're not going to be able to keep up. They allowed a lot of shots, some of them open shots, and it was just not falling for the Magic. And that's the reason why I believe the Heat ran away with this one. The Magic shot horribly from the field and had a bad shooting night from deep. So There you go. That's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, I would agree with you. The Magic
So
didn't look
don't
too.
go gloating too much.
Hey, I have to. I have to, man. I gotta take every win that we can get. I can't take one for granted right now.
Right, right, right. Hey, so do you expect the Heat to make any moves in this trade deadline?
Um, I would I would like to say yes. I don't think it's going to be a big addition. I think it's going to be a small acquisition, maybe someone with size. But I'm not having any hopes for any like big splash moves. There are reports of Caleb Martin being shopped around, but
Caleb Martin needs to be put in the cart and chopped around. Yes, and
I
so does
and I
Hero,
agree.
and so does Bam. Um, yeah. If you can get a good package deal right now that included Bam, I don't have any
No,
players in mind right now, but if I'm Pat Riley and anything's on the table right now.
I'd have to disagree with you on
Everyone
that.
except everyone except for Jimmy, because Jimmy somehow gets it going. And I know you're gonna listen to me. I know you're gonna disagree, and the only proof I have is the beginning of each of the last two seasons. That's my proof as to why it's not working. But then it ends up working at the end. So maybe I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But listen, if there's gonna be a trade, I think Miami's gonna move Hero because Rozier's fitting in well. If they can add another scorer to that,
They need
preferably
size.
a wing, right? Preferably a wing. If they can get a wing next to Rozier and Jimmy, listen, Miami can make some noise, but I mean, we can't be down on them because we've seen what they do. You know, they're the Miami Zombies for a reason,
Terrorizing the Celtics fans out there.
right? They take Last of Us to another level. I tell you, hey, so on this Timberwolves and Bulls game, I mean, what a game that was.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that
I mean, Cat and Kobe White went off. And I have to remove Kobe White off of my parlay uh don't bet list. So he is back on it. Um he had a huge night. I think that's the reason why Zach Levine is on the move is because Kobe White is showing everyone, listen, that he was good in college. He was a baller. And it's just the system or having to share the ball with Levine wasn't working for him. And listen, you can't have too many chefs in the kitchen. And sometimes it's addition by subtraction. And Levine is out. They've got nothing in return for Levine, right? This whole time, right? Because he hasn't been traded. So it's just Levine is out. They got a chance to see what it's like without Levine. Add another piece to this Bulls team, and you got something.
yeah, and I'm a big fan too of Kobe White, a scrappy, two-way defensive offense killer. I mean, he this year he's really showing people, and not just this year. I mean, he's always been a good player, and I think the big difference from players like Kobe White and Zach Levine is that Kobe White's game is impactful. He helps. Every play is helping the team go over the hump.
Yeah,
So
he played the perfect game today.
yeah,
33, 7 assists, 5 rebounds. He filled up the stat sheet. They're getting a lot out of Andre Drummond. Another 16-16 game. He's a beast. Best rebounder in the league. Um, and then you add DeRozan doing what he does. Vooch is kind of like found his game again. Listen, I mean, the Bulls can if the Bulls make a move here, they can make a move towards that middle of the pack as well with the Miami Heat. So it's gonna make it interesting. I just want a competitive Eastern Conference Finals. That's it. I mean Eastern Conference playoffs. I want a competitive Eastern Conference playoffs.
and I think we're gonna get that,
I
man.
want to see some
These
classic matchups.
the NBA this year with the amount of scoring these teams have been able to produce, we're in a great time, and I think these playoffs, especially on the West side, that's going to be super interesting to watch during the playoffs. But I mean, yeah, these two teams, and let's not forget Anthony Edwards, man.
Listen, so yeah, so
What an MVP season.
that's on the bull side on you with the Wolves. I mean, listen, whenever you have two players playing at the level of Cat and Ant, listen, good things are gonna happen. This team is gonna go far. I don't know how far they're gonna get, but Cat has kind of found his mojo. You know, like this is the Cat that I've always. This is how I always pictured Cat playing. He's 7 feet
He
and he could shoot.
Listen,
He's
man.
never been aggressive. So now you add Gobert in there to do all the dirty work that Cat wasn't willing to do, and then you draft Edwards, and the Wolves have something here. They really do have something. So I'm excited to see how their season ends up. Uh, a bunch of other good games, but I was mainly watching those two. And yeah, so we will stay tuned for this trade deadline. We'll probably have another podcast leading up to that trade deadline with some trade ideas. Get that trade machine going. That fantasy trade machine that makes no sense.
This is that bar talk. Who would you want on your team type of stuff.
Right, right, right. I
But
I
yeah,
will I will trade you. Let's see. I'll trade you Jalen Brown for
Tyler Hero. You take Tyler Hero for just
imagine.
straight. It's a
Yeah,
pick
right.
swaps. I'll throw in some pick swaps.
Right, right. Yeah, so yeah, good games. We will try to bring a podcast to you after every post game for Heat games and Boston Celtics games.
And we'll be here to give you guys our final point thoughts.
Yes, sir.
Alrighty, guys. Good night.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Have a good night.